Welcome. Welcome. And welcome. I want to emphasize the title of our service today, Find a Stillness. Good morning to all of you in the sanctuary and to those of you who have joined us online. I'm Mary Ann Rivers, a member of the Sunday Services Committee, and along with Reverend Alex, we hope to give you the opportunity to take some quiet time for yourselves before the hectic holiday seasons push into our lives. The title of our service today is more of a suggestion, find a stillness. Perhaps you'll find that here. Maybe at home. Maybe on a walk out on this beautiful day. Wherever you can take the time to dig down deep into your spirit, into your heart, and really try to find that stillness. And to ensure as much quiet as possible, please turn off your cell phones. Thank you. Do we have any visitors today? If you're comfortable doing so, we'd love to have you stand and introduce yourselves to us.
Good morning. My name is Natalie McIntyre. I'm visiting from the Sound area of Washington State.
Welcome. Well, if you stay for the fellowship after the service, be sure and take a yellow cup, and that way we'll know that you are a visitor. Okay, thank you. We're blessed today to have Mary Mintz playing harp for us. Mary plays alone, and she plays with many others. She serves hospice patients and provides them with the gentle peace and stillness of the harp, which is such a comfort. We hope that peace and stillness will come to you today as we listen to Mary. Right before Mary plays, though, I think we have a little something from Betsy. Are you on? You can.
Should I just come up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your step?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Betsy. I'm the Director of Religious Education. It was not supposed to be me up here today, but our guest speaker is not here. Next week and the week after, we're going to be having a sale of cookie mixes in a jar. And the money that we earn will benefit Seeds. The children wanted to benefit an organization that helps our environment. So we chose Seeds, which is a local organization that does just that. And these mixes are fantastic for you if you don't want to do all the mixing of the dry ingredients for your cookies. They also make wonderful gifts. So please stop by. We'll be in the social hall next Sunday and the Sunday after. And wish us luck as we assemble these today.
I do not envy that job. I truly do not. Mary is going to play a traditional Austrian piece this morning, Stille, Stille.
I'm a little bit too tall today. Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here this morning. I'm Reverend Alex. I'm the minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns, and I greet you on this second Sunday of Advent and this first Sunday of December. This is actually the Sunday of peace in the Advent season, of finding stillness as we anticipate the arrival of the holidays. And though this Sunday we are finding a stillness together, a note of wide welcome to whoever you are as you're coming in this morning. Whether you arrive shaking snow from your boots still or sipping a mug from your couch, whether you're joining us in person or online as we gather, you are welcome even if stillness feels far from you these days. As the nights lengthen and the hectic season of good food and parties and gift-giving ever approaches, I hope that you've got those holiday lists in motion. We're only 21 days away. As we settle into a stillness together this morning, hear these words from the Reverend Betz Weinecke. As we gather together this morning, may we learn to recognize and affirm the pieces of possibility, the bits of good that we bring. May we encourage rather than control, love rather than possess, enable rather than envy, allowing our individual gifts to weave a patchwork of peace, the soft, deep blue of sensitivity and understanding, the red energy of creativity, the white heat of convictions, the risky, fragile green of new growth, the golden flashes of gratitude, and the warm rose of love. Each of us is indispensable if we are to minister to a broken and wounded world. And together, in our gathered diversity, we form the whole. So be it, and come, let us worship together this morning. We will light our chalice as we do each Sunday, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, as well as a flame of the inner light and teacher that is found within all of us. I will read our chalice lighting words as Ellie, if Ellie would like to come up and light the chalice. Thanks, Ellie. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Now, listen to the sound of the bell as it leads us into our own stillness, following the vibrations that can quiet our minds and settle our spirits until we find our own inner place of rest and meditation. We'll sing now together our opening hymn, number 1009 in the teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing, and I'll turn it over to our music director, Renee Russell, to lead us.
So I'm going to invite us to stay seated, and we're all going to begin singing the first section together, and then I may point to your section to sing something different. But if I don't, everyone will just keep doing the breathe in, breathe out, and we'll just kind of weave this stuff together. So Barb will give us our starting note. So we all start here. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out again. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
feel the energy kind of leave the room. Moment to think of how we can come together to be of service to each other, to support the programs here at UUCGT, to reach out to the surrounding communities, to really live our stewardship mission. One way is your contribution this morning, which you can do in various techniques. In the sanctuary, we will be passing baskets. That's the easy one. If you prefer, one can send a check to the office, or one can visit the website, uucgt.com, or one can download the Venmo or the Venco mobile app for giving. I found this poem and I thought it spoke well to what we're doing here. We give thanks for one another, for each heart and hand and face. We're grateful for the blessings that infuse our lives with grace. May we offer our abundance as we are given, may we give. In our hearts for one another, may we help each other live. Now we will listen to Mary, our guest, as she improvises on the harp.
It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time within our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that touch our lives, those milestones and moments of our lived experiences. I'll share some of those joys and concerns that have been offered up for us to hold on our hearts as we are gathered. If you have a joy or a concern that's a bit too tender to share with all of us, or even with somebody else, we can either invite you to reach out to a member of our congregational care team, or to reach out to myself, or to simply just hold it on your heart as you are held in the love of this community. None of us is ever meant to travel life's journey alone. And so now, here's what has been offered up for us to hold on our hearts this morning. This past Thursday, December 1st, marked World AIDS Day. we hold on our hearts this Sunday all who struggle with HIV and AIDS, and all those who have lost loved ones to this devastating virus. For Bob Hicks, let us keep Bob Hicks in our minds and hearts as he faces his health challenges. Bob is in the hospital and dealing with heart issues. Please send prayers and healing thoughts. From Mike Radke, my daughter Heather Radke, new mom to 5-month-old Nora, published her first book titled Butts, A Backstory. A quote from Melissa Phoebos, a deeply thought, rigorously researched, and riveting history of human butts. Radke knows exactly when to approach her subject with levity and with gravity, a pitch-perfect debut. And so we celebrate this new launch of this new book. Thanks, Mike. I have a personal joy to share with you all. This Sunday, actually on the dot, marks 2 years of my becoming a fellowshipped Unitarian Universalist minister. And I have the added joy, yesterday, one of my beloved colleagues who I went to Harvard with, her name's Carter, she just saw the Ministerial Fellowship Committee last night and received her fellowship status. And so I'm just kind of reveling in some of that joy. And so I wanted to share that with you all. We also have from Judy Weaver, a joy, wonderful to see Pulitzer Prize-winning composer Kevin Putz on PBS NewsHour last week. He is the son of John and Millie Putz and the composer of the new Met Opera production, The Hours. And so we celebrate that. From Emily Mitchell, a joy. Like many of us, having raised 2 sons in this congregation, I so treasure the way we give our children the experience of being with us at the beginning of our service. And in turn, we give ourselves their presence among us, where we walk the walk of welcoming young people as they are, wiggling, trying a bold move. I missed that. So thank you, Emily. And now we'll hold a brief moment of silence for all those joys and concerns that remain on our hearts. As we gather once again in prayer and contemplation, let us find a place of quiet and stillness within us, hearing the gentle murmurs of our hearts and focusing our beckoning minds. And let us breathe now together, taking a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. As our Quaker friends do, let us pause in stillness to hear the still small voice within us as we hold a brief time of silent reverence together. I will hold this space as you feel comfortable to close your eyes, to center yourself and still your senses, and we will enter a time of silence and stillness. Let us close out this time of stillness, returning to this moment together, opening our eyes as we're ready, and let us say, may it be so, and amen. Mary Ann will now share with you this morning's reading.
Our reading this morning is a reflection by Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, the Director of Worship Arts Ministries for First Universalist Church of Minneapolis. In this reflection, he contemplates stillness and how this intersects with love, especially for our neighbors on the margin. Last summer at General Assembly, I walked out of the sanctuary we had made from the convention center space. As tired as I was, I returned more and more to my deeply introverted default of self, and I passed a woman who had to stop to talk with me. Many religious professionals who have led a morning worship service know this is where the work really begins. She walked up to me and said, "Dr. Rideout." Because she had enough grace to remind me of my title, she gave me the opportunity to resume my church face and posture. She held my hands as if we'd known each other for a long time. She looked into my eyes and she said, "You know what? I always sing that song, 'There is more love right here.' There is more love right here. I'm gonna keep on because I've found it. There is more love right here." I don't understand why it is that we don't sing that here at GA. We've already found a community of love. And because she had enough compassion and grace to call me Dr. Rideout, she had given me the opportunity to summon up a bit of stillness from the weary remnants of my churchman's posture. She looked into my eyes and spoke, and sang to me with her own truth. She asked with genuine curiosity why it is that we don't all sing the words that she had come to know. I thanked her, and I explained that for those of us who live with the privilege of knowing love, it can be difficult to understand the perspective of one who lives without such a privilege. I explained that it can be difficult to understand the lived experience of those who have trouble finding the evidence of love in their immediate vicinity, in their church, in their neighborhood, in their city, in their nation, even in our planet. I thanked her and I explained that for some who don't share the privilege of perceiving love right here, moving toward that idea of privilege had become a vital practice of Black faith. I offered that if we, as a spiritual community of Unitarian Universalists, populated by well-meaning people, are to mean anything to the lives and the deaths of people of color, we must begin by learning, not squelching, the forms of expression that arise from these living perspectives. And she said to me, "Thank you. I've never heard it expressed that way. I've never understood it that way, and I will never sing it the same way again." When we inhabit the music, the forms of expression of people who live their lives along the margins of notice, we must notice that we have entered holy ground, a sacred space of learning, a sacred space of relationship.
Wearing jeans and a blue short-sleeve Monterey Bay Otters t-shirt, I found myself several years ago walking into my first Quaker meeting. A sophomore in college taking a course on world religions, one of my assignments was to venture out to communities of faith that were other than my own. And at the time I was attending, you bet, the UU Church of the Monterey Peninsula, not too far away from my campus community. And I had heard about friends' meetings and how they worship completely in silence, though there was this curiosity that I also held with it. How would I encounter this silence? Would I be able to settle in, to sit with others for a whole hour without conversation or programming? How would it feel to be embraced by the stillness of this hour for one full, or I guess not full, hour? And so I walked in, casually dressed, and sat down in one of the many wooden chairs that were arranged in a circle. And before too long, we entered the silence, and I was surprised with what emerged in me. I noticed the worries and concerns melt away about whether I'd be able to fully settle into the silence, whether I'd fit in among this new group of strangers that I was just meeting. I felt my forehead and my brows soften, my jaws loosening as I held my eyes gently closed. And I felt that inner gravity drawing me deeper, a sense of almost hyper-awareness of every sound in the room, the quiet breaths of my neighbor, an occasional cough or sniffle, the sounds of bodies adjusting in creaky old wooden seats. After about an hour, a natural point came where we opened up the circle and ended our silence together. And I was impressed that I had made it the whole hour. And as much as I love and admire friends' meetings, your UU minister isn't interested in jumping ships anytime soon. There is just something that I also need and love in how we worship together. One of them is not greater than the other, but that there are just different things that we can find across each of these traditions. Though I laughed when an older man at the meeting leaned over to me after we had lifted our silence and said, "Don't worry, kid. Today was a light day. We usually go for a lot longer." Some of you, like me, might not be able to do a whole hour of just complete silence regularly, though there are still many valuable lessons that we can glean from settling down and listening for stillness. This morning, we're starting our December Soul Matters theme series on wonder, the many ways that we find beauty in the world around us and also marvel at life from these different lenses. You'll notice that there are a few other lenses that we are looking at in this month of wonder in some of our upcoming December services, like our service on a World of Wonder next Sunday, as well as our Seasons of Light service on the Sunday after, which celebrates many of the world's traditions that look to that sacred interplay of darkness and light in this time of year. So our lens for today is actually stillness, finding what wonder abides within us that we can actually turn to for lessons and insights that we might not fully expect. In other words, what are we able to hear or experience differently in our lives when stillness abides? We also need to mention the great challenge for many of us in finding stillness in our increasingly loud, frantic, and over-connected world. How stillness and quiet itself can feel like a great privilege, even a luxury that we may not always have. I'm especially holding you parents out there. This invitation for you on this Sunday is to consider this lens of stillness in your life and finding the ways to listen to your life beyond what you might already know and expect. So delving on in, what even is stillness? What is it and where does this word come from? According to Merriam-Webster, stillness involves a state of becoming motionless or silent, of being, in essence, in an absence of movement or sound. This word actually comes from an old German notion of being fixed or standing as an unmoving sign or post in the ground. It's related actually to that word that we have for stall as well, as in a stall like a booth or a stand, or even the word stalling when we move slowly or take our time. You can think of it as something that is fixed and rooted, something that doesn't move around or make very much sound. In our language, we often think of stillness or stalling as a bad thing. This is why we fill our silence or gaps in conversation with ums or uhs, or even why we think of slowing down as also being lazy and unproductive. Instead, we might reframe stillness as something that's actually positive, a state of mindful presence that helps us to delve deeper into what really matters most in our lives, what it is that we are noticing. Stillness itself is a choice, choosing stillness over the hustle and bustle of life, though it's also a choice that might not be easy for many of us, especially for those of us who don't often feel we have time or space in our lives for stillness. And for some of us, sitting in stillness and quiet just plainly makes us uncomfortable. It's not something that we're used to, and when I think of this, I often think of my dad, who always has the TV on at home from the moment he wakes up until the moment he goes to bed. Even if he's just around the house or doing something in the other room, he just likes having that sound and noise of the TV on. It's something that just brings him comfort. Stillness is something that we can only achieve when we feel safe enough to experience it, when we're able to quiet our minds and hearts and turn inward, rather than needing to focus ourselves outward with the demands of life. Stillness is a choice, and we can only choose stillness when we feel comfortable and safe enough to choose it. Interestingly, I think stillness is also an unexpected antidote to some of the tendencies of what we know as white supremacy culture. There are many aspects of this culture that we wrestle with in society, expectations and beliefs about how things are and should be, that centers norms and standards of whiteness over others. This happens even subconsciously in ways that we don't even realize, from how we lift up our own perfectionism as a virtue, to how we respond often to life with a sense of urgency and defensiveness over the desire to slow down and even open ourselves up. The aspect of white supremacy culture that I think this is closest to is this aspect of quantity over quality. The idea that what matters most is only what we can measure, the sheer number of things as proof of success over the quality of success. This relates to an understanding of life as what matters is only that which is both visible and also right in front of us. How there's an emphasis and importance placed on a stream and quantity of sound and voice as a way of engagement over the overall quality of our shared experiences. Think back to that Quaker meeting in Monterey. My own inner voice and dialogue wondering how I'd survive a whole hour of silence, the discomfort that I initially felt in sitting still as a form of worship. The quality of worship over the quantity of the offerings that were found in the silence. Stillness might be an antidote in our culture that centers urgency and quantity over quality itself. And in fact, stillness is an opposing view that there already is an abundance in our midst, should we only look for it. How quality can even surprise us when we quiet our desire for quantity. It's no wonder that Friends and Quakers have found a rich and deep spirituality in listening to the still small voice that they believe is within each of us. How spiritual teachings themselves can even emerge just in silence. I want to turn now to our reading, There is More Love Somewhere by Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout. In this reflection, Dr. Rideout speaks to what many of us religious professionals experience in the public sphere, a sense of being on and ready. And I've been steadily practicing my own church face and posture for a while now. I joke that I sometimes need to remind myself to turn it off if I go to the grocery store after service, so that I don't overly smile at the cashier or make uncomfortable eye contact. It's harder than you might think, especially for an introvert like myself. Though Rideout also speaks to a real challenge for him and other religious professionals whose identities lie at the margins, how we don't all share the same experiences of this world around us. How for some of us, we don't always have the privileges that our neighbors do, how we can feel weary when we feel like we're alone. For Rideout, he described this genuine interaction with a woman who stopped him after the service in a beautiful and stunning way. She looked into my eyes and spoke and sang to me with her own truth. She asked with genuine curiosity why it is that we don't all sing the words that she had come to know. Rideout's truth was that for some, there still isn't an experience of trust, that there really is more love right here. This is a twist on a familiar song that many of you know, There Is More Love Somewhere, where instead of singing the word somewhere, many have chosen to replace it with right here, to emphasize that love is right here. For some among us who have experienced great pain in community, it's hard for us to sing this lyric out loud and proud. It doesn't always mesh with the experiences and truths of our own lives and our living. And yet for Rideout, stillness was also a key for his own realization of this truth. Instilling his mind and quieting his gut responses, he was able to find stillness in his weariness and to see things from a new perspective. For all of us, no matter where we are on the spectrum of identity and privilege, stillness is a way that we can incarnate love and presence in a world when we still haven't found it yet. Identity and privilege, incarnating love and presence in this world where we still haven't found love yet. How stillness can even help us to keep on going and to encounter our neighbors in surprising and genuine ways. In this wintry season, as the snow piles higher and we experience longer nights and shorter days, this stillness of winter is a natural rhythm to remind us of the value of quiet and stillness. The way that the snow blankets the land and the sound that it makes under our feet as we crunch it, and it leaves those carved footprints behind everything that crosses it, people, animals, and cars. How on some wintry nights you can hear barely even a whisper in the wind. Our Time for All Ages story, The Fairies of Winter, tells us about all these different wonders of winter, especially through all these creative fairies and characters. Just as much as we think about all these aspects of winter, there's also these glowing candles and snow forts, the real magic that we can find in the season if we only pay attention. Just as much as we turn outward in this time, looking to one another with what gift we'll give them, or all these different gatherings and holidays coming up, we also have this tendency and reflex to turn inward. There's a familiar gravity inside ourselves that calls us deeper this time of year, that invites us to embrace stillness in new ways. To return to our Quaker friends, one early founder and feminist of the Quaker movement was Margaret Fell, who wrote extensively about this emerging Quaker tradition and the surprising, even volatile aspect of silence that she found when she worshiped with other friends. In her words, she invites us to deal plainly with ourselves and to let the eternal light search us and try us for the good of our souls. As she describes stillness, it will rip you up and lay you open. How surprised we can feel when stillness opens us up to so much more than we initially realized. So to close, I invite you to find some time in your life to embrace a little bit of stillness. In the midst of the franticness of the season, see if you can find wonder in curling up with a pet on your lap, or even with a good book by the fire. Savor the experience and taste of warm cider and fresh baked cookies. Feel the gravity of stillness and silence drawing you in closer. While I don't expect that you'll sit for a whole hour still and silent, I hope that you'll find ways to be surprised by what is already in our midst. The ways that settling in and centering down can help us to see things more clearly. However you'll engage stillness in this season, remember that you are loved and draw near to you those things in your life that help you to remember what matters most. May it be so, and amen. We'll sing now our closing hymn, number 1032 in the Teal hymnal, Dayuna Naish. Renee will lead us in our pronunciations and also in singing together along with the vocal ensemble.
we sing, sorry, got me on the mic here. This is a beautiful song. It's written in Arabic, so I thought I would speak quickly through the pronunciation, just to give you a little heads up what it sounds like. It's Dauna Naish Be Salam, Dauna Naish Be Aman, Dauna Nan Sij Alam, Dauna Namut Be Salam. And the translation, which you'll see a little bit further down, is let us live in peace, let us live in inner peace, let us weave our dreams together, and let us die in peace. And the beautiful part of this song, I think, actually comes just after we say Alam, we hold, we wait, there's stillness, and then we finish the song. So we'll have the vocal ensemble help lead us through. We're going to sing it 2 times through.
Dorothea Kaufman offers these powerful words to send us on our way. From the bottom of my very existence, I am pervaded with light energy, shining colors to my eye, warmth to my skin, inspiration to my soul. In this unity of creative sparks and sparkling creation, life unfolds. Let us open our senses to the light within and around us and send it out with shining examples into the world.
and in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, in the spirit of finding stillness in our full and busy lives, may we be made ready to serve one another, to create the world that we so desperately dream of. Go in peace all, may it be so, and amen. And before we wrap up and go to our lovely postlude music with Mary, I do have a few announcements to share briefly. I just want to mention the astounding celebrating news of our fundraiser and auction a couple of Saturdays ago. We've actually raised over $9,300 and counting. We may even raise $10,000, even more. And I'm just wanting to say a note that you all are just so good, you know? You all are just so good. And I'm just so inspired by the ways that you help out and you give and you contribute and help build the abundance of this community. When we ask for help and support, you show up, and that's just so heartening. And I just have some gratitude for Mary Van Valen and Judy Barrett and Judy Weaver and Nancy Doty and all those other unnamed folks who just came to the occasion and organized this wonderful auction and party. And just let's celebrate and revel in the miracle, right, of $10,000. Geez, wow. Look at what we can do, right, when we have faith in it. I have a quick note about snow shoveling volunteers, that we are in great need of volunteers to help shovel snow for our sidewalks and entryways. Details are in the flash if you'd like to sign up and volunteer to help. David Hassing here is also here. You can contact him or reach out to him, and he can get you in the right place. Our RE program that you heard about is hosting its cookie mix sale for the next couple of Sundays, December 11th and 18th after the service, to benefit seeds. And so make sure that you're staying attuned for that if you want to get some cookies to give out or make. This is also your last chance, speaking about the auction, to look at some of the stuff over in the social hall left over from the auction if you're interested in any of those pieces. This is your last Sunday before it all disappears, so make sure you check that out. And lastly, in this litany for you, it's our membership orientation after the service today that we're holding in the sanctuary. If you'd like to know just more about who we are as UUCGT or what the path to membership looks like, it's not at all a binding commitment, but you're welcome to stay afterward and just learn a little bit more with us. And so now we'll go to Mary Mintz, who will lead us in some postlude music. And I invite you afterward, after we all enjoy this prelude, to join us if you're interested in orientation.